Imagine this, you're standing in a room full of people, maybe at a friend's gathering or a work event. You've got your drink, you're keeping to yourself, talking to a couple of people you already know. She's there, not necessarily the most beautiful woman in the room, but she has presence, and for some reason, you catch her glancing your way more than once. Not smiling, not flirting, just watching. You tell yourself you're imagining it. You think, she's probably just looking past me. But then it happens again and again. And you feel that strange pull, not because you approached her, but because she's trying to figure you out. She doesn't know why she's drawn to you. And the truth is, neither do you. Here's the first thing you need to understand. Attraction isn't always loud. It's not always the guy who's cracking jokes, being the life of the party, or flexing on Instagram. A lot of women are secretly drawn to men they can't immediately categorize. The man who doesn't broadcast himself but radiates a kind of quiet certainty, not arrogance, not coldness, just a man who's not seeking anyone's approval, especially hers. And here's the twist, most men ruin it before they ever realize they had it. Think about it. How many times have you started talking to a woman and, within minutes, you've shifted your tone, your words, your posture, all to keep her engaged? You start adding little self-deprecating jokes to seem safe. You nod too much. You lean in too soon. You're not doing it because you're weak. You're doing it because deep down, you've been trained to think attraction is something you earn by giving her more. But here's the psychological reality when a woman is secretly drawn to you. It's usually because you've given her less. Not in a manipulative play games way, but in a natural, self-contained way that forces her to lean in first. Picture this scenario: you're at that same event. You talk to her for a few minutes. The conversation is good. You're relaxed. But instead of trying to stretch it out, you excuse yourself to go check on a friend or grab another drink. No big performance. No over-explaining. You walk away. And here's what happens in her head. Just, he's not lingering. He's not trying to keep me here. Did I do something wrong? Why isn't he chasing? That curiosity flips a switch. You've given her space to feel a small loss, and loss is one of the most powerful emotional hooks in the human brain. Now, here's where most men fail tactically. When they sense a woman is somewhat interested, they overplay their hand. They start sending longer texts, replying instantly, offering their time like an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's like pouring a whole bottle of perfume in her face. What was once intriguing becomes overwhelming. The subtle tension is gone, and without that tension, the attraction that could have grown in her subconscious gets replaced by a comfortable indifference. So here's your move the next time you sense that silent interest, the kind where she looks but doesn't necessarily act. Do nothing to close the gap right away. Keep living your moment. Stay in your conversation. If you do speak to her, keep it light and then exit on your terms. The exit is everything. You don't leave with a sorry, I've got to go, like you're apologizing. You leave like you're simply moving through your own life, and she just happened to be part of it for a moment. Why does this work? Because women, like men, are wired to value what they have to invest in. If she doesn't feel she's had to earn your attention, she'll subconsciously devalue it. But when you remain selective, not because you're playing a role, but because you actually have standards and self-respect, she starts to calibrate herself to you. She leans forward, she asks questions, she notices your absence when you're not there. That's when she's truly hooked, when she's thinking about you without you having to push. And here's the real kicker: being average by society's standards doesn't cancel this effect. In fact, it can amplify it. If you're not the tallest, richest, or most handsome guy in the room, but you move like a man who's not competing for validation, it creates a paradox. She expects you to seek her approval, and when you don't, she can't stop herself from wanting to know why. That why is where attraction is born. But, and this is where discipline comes in, you have to resist the urge to cash in that attraction too soon. Don't rush to turn it into a date, a number, or an all-night texting session. Let her simmer. Let her curiosity work for you. Because in modern dating, the man who knows how to let a woman come to him will always have the advantage over the man who runs to meet her halfway at every step. So, I'll ask you this. Have you ever noticed a woman giving you subtle signs, only to blow it by over-initiating? Did you ever look back and realize you had her attention before you even spoke? And if so, what would you do differently now? You've probably been told your whole life that women want a man who makes the first move, who takes charge, who shows interest. And while there's truth in that, here's the part no one tells you: the timing of that move is everything. If you show your hand too early, before she's even had the chance to wonder about you, you kill the exact curiosity that would have made her chase you. This is why you might have experienced something frustrating before you meet a woman. The vibe is great. She laughs at your jokes, maybe even touches your arm. You walk away thinking, she's definitely into me. Then you text her that night, and nothing. Or worse. She responds, but the energy is flat. The spark is gone. You tell yourself she must have lost interest out of nowhere. But it didn't come out of nowhere. You just skipped the stage where she invests. You see, attraction is like a fire built from dry kindling. If you throw a whole bucket of lighter fluid on it right away, it'll flare up, then burn out in seconds. But if you feed it slowly, letting the heat build, it becomes something that lasts. Women, especially those used to attention, are conditioned to expect immediate pursuit. The men who stand out are the ones who break that pattern. Here's the trap most guys fall into without realizing they start performing. They think, if I just show her my best qualities right now, she'll see I'm worth it. So they talk more, text more, compliment more. They start sharing personal stories too soon, buying little gifts, rearranging their schedule to be available, and it feels good in the moment because she responds politely. But deep down, she knows she didn't have to work for any of it, and the human brain doesn't value what comes without effort. Let's make it concrete. Imagine you meet a woman at a mutual friend's dinner. You chat briefly. There's an undeniable spark. Most men's instincts sit next to her for the rest of the night, keep the conversation going, maybe even fish for her number before dessert is served. But if you're smart, you do the opposite. You enjoy the moment, then you deliberately move on to talk to others, without looking back at her for validation. Now she's left with the gap, that moment where she wonders, why isn't he glued to me like other guys? Did I not make enough of an impression? Who is this guy? That gap is your ally. And here's the tactical follow-up the first time you do re-engage. You keep it short and unexpected. You don't walk up with a pickup line or a needy grin. Maybe you pass by and make a quick, teasing comment about something she said earlier, then walk away again. No lingering, no fishing. Just a touch of recognition enough to remind her that you noticed her, without giving her the whole game for free. Psychologically, what you're doing is giving her room to invest emotionally before she's earned your full attention. It's not about manipulation, it's about refusing to hand over the most valuable thing you have in dating, your focus. Women are drawn to men who value their own time and energy more than they value instant approval from anyone else. You can see this play out in texting too. If she sends you something casual, like, "Hey, what are you up to?" you don't drop everything to send back a paragraph in 30 seconds. That tells her she's at the top of your priority list without having done anything to deserve it. Instead, you reply when you're ready. Sometimes that's 20 minutes later. Sometimes it's hours later because you were actually busy. The key is that it's authentic. You're not pretending to be busy, you are busy because your life isn't on hold for a maybe. But here's where discipline matters. This only works if it's real. If you try to fake detachment while obsessively thinking about her, You'll leak insecurity in subtle ways, overcompensating with arrogance, trying too hard to look like you don't care. Women are masters at sensing incongruence. Real confidence is in the man who can walk away from a conversation without wondering if she liked him enough, because he's already decided he likes himself enough. So ask yourself, when was the last time you actually let a woman wonder about you before rushing in to fill the silence? How many times have you robbed yourself of the upper hand by over-giving before she had to give anything back? And if you change that, if you slowed down, held your ground, and let her come forward, how different would your dating life look? Here's the part most men never realize until it's too late. A woman's attraction often grows strongest in the spaces between your interactions, not during them. What she feels when you're not around says more about her true interest than anything she says while you're in front of her. And yet, most men sabotage this completely. They fill every gap with messages, likes, calls, and constant availability, smothering the very space where her curiosity could breathe. Think about the last time you really wanted something: a car, a watch, even a rare piece of tech. Part of the reason you wanted it so badly was because you couldn't have it immediately. There was a wait list, a delay, a sense that not everyone could get it. That scarcity turned your interest into obsession. Women's emotional attraction works in a similar way. If she feels like she can access you at any time without effort, she stops wondering. And when she stops wondering, she stops wanting. Here's a typical pattern. You meet her, things start well. She sends you a casual message, and you instantly reply. She posts something online. You're the first to react. She mentions she's free, and you rearrange your schedule to meet her. At first, she might even appreciate it, but over time, she realizes you're not a challenge, you're a certainty. And certainty without investment feels flat. The men women secretly crave are the ones who have their own momentum, their own rhythm, and don't break it for anyone. This doesn't mean you play games or intentionally delay responses to look cool. That's childish. It means you're genuinely invested in your own life, to the point where she has to fit into it, not the other way around. That natural selectiveness is magnetic because it communicates that your attention is valuable, not disposable. A real-world example: you're working on a project you care about. She texts you mid-flow. The average guy sees the notification, stops what he's doing, and fires off a reply. The man she respects and feels drawn to, he stays focused, finishes his task, and then responds when he's free, not with an apology, not with a sorry. I didn't reply sooner, but with the same steady, grounded energy he always has. That consistency tells her you're not swayed by the tides of her attention. Here's another angle in group settings. A man who isn't always in her line of sight is far more likely to occupy her mind later. If you're constantly orbiting her, she gets used to your presence. If you're engaging with others, laughing with friends, leaving moments where she can't see you, her mind starts asking questions. What's he doing now? Who's he talking to? Does he even notice me anymore? Those questions are seeds. Seeds grow when they're left alone in the dark for a while. But to pull this off, you have to kill the fear that she'll forget about you if you're not constantly reminding her you exist. That's the fear that keeps most men glued to their phones, overthinking every pause. The truth: if she forgets you just because you weren't in her face for a few hours or a couple of days, she wasn't truly interested to begin with. The woman who's genuinely drawn to you will remember you in the quiet moments because you gave her something to remember. And this is where subtle behavioral cues matter. When you're with her, be fully there. Look her in the eye when she talks. Listen without rushing to respond. And keep your phone out of sight. Make those moments high quality. Then, when you're apart, don't try to artificially recreate them through constant digital contact. Let the quality of the last interaction carry the weight until the next one. The paradox is this: you can actually make her feel closer to you by being less accessible, as long as the time you do give her is present, intentional, and unmistakably masculine in its steadiness. That balance between presence and absence is where deep attraction lives. Too much presence and you're predictable, too much absence and you're forgettable. The sweet spot is where she feels your energy even when you're not around, and that's only possible when you stop rushing to fill every empty space. So I'll ask you, are you leaving her enough space to miss you? Or are you handing her so much of yourself that she never has to reach for you? When you step away, does she lean forward, or does she lean back? And be honest, which version of you do women actually remember? There's a moment in almost every man's dating life where he realizes something strange. A woman he thought was out of his league suddenly starts treating him differently, giving him attention she never did before. And it doesn't happen because he suddenly got taller, richer, or better looking. It happens because his energy shifted. He stopped trying to earn her interest and started living like her interest was optional. That quiet change in frame is one of the most powerful signals you can send. Here's the psychology behind it, people, including women. Respond to the value you place on yourself more than the value you place on them. When you walk into an interaction with the unspoken belief that your time, your attention, and your presence are worth something, she feels it before you even open your mouth. It's in your pacing. It's in the way you answer questions without rushing. It's in the way you don't overshare or oversell yourself. This is why some men, even if they're average in looks or status, create a kind of pull women can't explain. They're not afraid of silence. They're not desperate to be liked. And they're not bending themselves to fit someone else's mold. That quiet self-approval is rare, and rarity is attractive. But here's where most men mess up the moment they see signs of interest. They start thinking, I need to lock this down. They ramp up the compliments, the favors, the constant check-ins, and without realizing it, they shift from being the man she's curious about to being the man she's certain she has. Certainty feels safe, but in attraction, it can be the kiss of death. Let's get tactical. Imagine you're texting a woman you've been seeing casually. She sends you a playful message late at night. You're trouble, aren't you? The average guy jumps in with flirty emojis, exaggerated banter, maybe even an invitation to meet up right then. It's instant gratification. But the man who understands subtlety, he smiles, sets the phone down, and replies the next day with something equally light, but not over-invested. Only when it's worth it. No rush, no anxiety, just calm control. That calm control isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about actually being okay with whatever happens. You're not hinging your self-worth on her reaction. That's why it comes across as attractive instead of manipulative. Women can feel the difference between a man who's playing hard to get and a man who simply is hard to get because his life is full. His standards are high, and he's selective by nature. Another example, you're out with friends and she shows up unexpectedly. She spots you, smiles, maybe even walks over. The average man would drop his conversation to give her full attention, eager to prove he's happy she came. But the man she remembers is the one who greets her warmly, talks for a minute or two, then says, "I'll catch you in a bit," and returns to his group. That move does two things. It shows confidence in your social world, and it forces her to navigate to you instead of you orbiting around her. The core principle here is this: women value what they must pursue, not just what pursues them. If you're always in motion, always engaged with your own life, they have to step into your world to get more of you. That's where genuine attraction starts to solidify, not when you hand yourself over, but when she feels she has to earn the deeper layers of you. This is why, if you're just average, you can still be magnetic. Because most men in your position will try to close the gap by overcompensating, showing too much, giving too much, too soon. You do the opposite. You let the gap exist. You let her feel the mild frustration of not having all of you right away. And that frustration, when balanced with genuine warmth and respect, is addictive. So, I'll challenge you. When was the last time you didn't rush to close the distance with a woman you liked? When was the last time you let her curiosity build instead of smothering it with instant access? And if you stopped treating her attention like oxygen, how much more would she crave the moments you choose to give her? Here's the deeper truth most men never want to face. A woman's strongest attraction to you isn't about what you give her. It's about what you make her feel she might lose. And that doesn't mean playing games or threatening to walk away. It means living in such a way that you are never fully hers unless she continuously invests to keep you. Think about how most relationships start. In the beginning, she's intrigued because you're a mystery. She's piecing you together, studying your habits, testing how much she can get from you. But if, too soon, you make yourself completely available, predictable, and overexposed, you remove the tension. And without tension, there's no spark, only comfort. Comfort feels nice, but it's not what keeps desire alive. This is why so many men experience that brutal shift in the early months of dating. The calls become less frequent, the texts shorter, the interest cooler. They think it's because she changed, but in reality, the dynamic changed. She no longer feels she has to earn you. She no longer fears losing you. And without that subtle fear, she's free to redirect her attention elsewhere. Let's flip the script. Picture this: you're seeing someone new. Things are going well, but instead of escalating at full speed, you maintain your own rhythm. You don't cancel plans with friends to see her at the last minute. You don't respond to every text the second it arrives. You're warm and engaged when you're with her, but you're not always on call. This isn't neglect, it's self-possession. And here's the psychological effect: she stays on her toes. She feels the need to keep your interest because she knows she hasn't secured it completely. Now, here's the tactical application when you sense her pulling back or testing you. Resist the temptation to chase. If she goes a day without texting, don't send 3 follow-ups. If she acts a little distant in person, don't overcompensate with extra compliments or questions. Instead, mirror the energy you're getting, not in a petty way, but in a way that communicates. I match investment. I don't overpay for attention. That balance forces her to evaluate what she's bringing to the table. I've seen this play out countless times. A guy I knew, nothing flashy, average looks, normal job, was always surrounded by women who seemed far out of his league. His secret: he never let their beauty override his boundaries. He would flirt, joke, enjoy their company, but he was quick to walk away from any hint of entitlement or disrespect. They'd come back stronger every time because they realized he was willing to let them go. And here's the thing most men underestimate: women notice how you handle scarcity. If you crumble and chase harder when she gives you less, she'll lose respect. If you remain composed, even slightly amused, she'll start questioning her own position with you. That questioning is what reignites her effort. It's like a dance: you step forward, she steps forward, you step back, she leans in. But too many men only step forward until she's pressed against the wall and looking for a way out. Your job isn't to smother her with pursuit, it's to create a rhythm where she invests as much, if not more, than you do. So ask yourself right now, are you giving a woman everything before she's proven she deserves it? Are you afraid that pulling back will make her leave? And more importantly, if she did leave just because you stopped over-investing, would you really want her anyway? She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.